Hi guys, my name is Fiona from the Lively Kitchen and thank you so much for watching this video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a very simple and easy Spanish rice. So what you're going to need today for the recipe is rice, of course. I'm going to be using a jasmine rice, but you can go ahead and use a medium grain rice if you like, which is how it's normally made. We're also going to be putting some Goya in there. We're going to be needing sazon for the color. We're going to need pigeon peas, or you may know it as gandules, tomato sauce, olives. And also, I'm going to be frying up some pork chops with that as well. So I have some pork chops here already cleaned and washed, ready to go. All I need to do is season it. And for this recipe, they normally use sofrito, but in the Caribbean, where I'm from, we use something called green seasoning. I'm from South America, Guyana, and we call it green seasoning. So I'm going to put that on here and then add all the rest of the ingredients, and we'll be pretty much ready to go. All right, come on, let's go make Sunday dinner. Bye!
Okay guys, so for this recipe I'm going to be using 3 pieces of pork chops. This is about 3 pounds of pork chops. You can use 2.5, you can use 4, depending on the size of your family. That's how I would measure this out for you. Then I'm going to go ahead and pour some grapeseed oil. I like to pour oil on my meat because it helps it to season a whole lot better. It allows for the seasoning to really seep into it, so you get a nice marinade when you finish. Now I'm going to be adding some green seasoning or sofrito. I didn't have any sofrito, I had green seasoning, so I just put that on here. And green seasoning is simply just all your veggies blended up together that you can use later on in meat dishes to marinate. And this is going to be a packet of sazon. I use the one with the annatto in there because the annatto is basically paprika and it gives it flavor and color. So that's what you're going to want to add. I use 1 pack. This is going to be onion powder. I just sprinkle about 2 tablespoons in there. So for pork, I over season it because later on I'm going to be frying it, and you know all that flavor comes out anyway. So I over season the meat. I just put some paprika in there also. This is going to be adobo. Adobo is delicious. I added about 2 tablespoons, 2.5 tablespoons. If you have hypertension or your body is sensitive to any type of salt, you can always lower the percentage of salt that I'm adding to these videos to make this dish delicious. And I'm going to take my hands, yes, I said my bare hands. I don't use spoons and knives and forks. However, if that's what you do, go right ahead. Okay, to a hot cast iron pan, I'm going to be pouring the grapeseed oil. That was about 1/4 cup, and then I'm going to be throwing those. I let it marinate in the fridge for about an hour or 2, and then I just took them out, let it sit at room temperature, and then I'm going to be frying that up. Normally you don't want to fry anything in hot oil until it gets to 350 degrees. Then you fry that up. So what I'm doing here right now, I just flipped it over and I'm basting it. Do you see what the sofrito and the paprika does to the meat? Instant color, baby. That is right. Instant color, and that's what you're looking for. So at this point, my meat is almost done. I'm gonna turn down the stove, just not to let it burn because it was getting a little bit too crispy for me, so you don't want it to brown before it burns. And I'm just gonna take the excess oil, and I was flipping it over. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to making the rice. So for the rice, I'm gonna get my Dutch oven. The same green seasoning I used to season the meat, I pour the same thing to make the rice. And I'm going to stir that up a little bit, try to incorporate it within the oil and the green seasoning. So when the seasoning gets to this color, that means it's cooked. I'm going to add another packet of sazon to the rice. So everything, all the flavors are going to be cohesive and really good. I'm going to stir that around, make sure it's incorporated in the oil and also the green seasoning. So don't worry about the color of the seasoning because I wanted that color so I know that it's cooked. So to that, I just added a can of tomato sauce. I added a whole can because later on you'll see the portion that I'm making is a large portion. But like I said before, you can add or delete anything that you don't want to put in here. That's going to be about a tablespoon of tomato paste, and I added some gandules in there. So that's a whole can of gandules and a tablespoon of tomato. And also I forgot to mention that I did add sazon in here. I did add adobo in here. That's about another 2 tablespoons of adobo. Those are going to be olives. I use the olives and the olives juice. So I use about half a bottle that I showed you earlier of the olives. And I use half of the liquid as well for the olives. It gives it a nice flavor. It adds like a little tartness and a little saltiness to it, making it authentic Dominican arroz con gandules. So as those cook together, I'm going to make sure that everything gets incorporated. Now I'm going to add my rice. When you add your rice, it is very important to mix the rice in with the sauce that you just made. You want to make sure all the rice is covered in the sauce. If your stove is too high at this point, you can always turn it down a little so you can get the time to mix all the rice in. Then you're going to turn your stove back up when you get ready to put your water. So that's about 2.5-3 cups of rice. And I'm pouring the water in. I don't really measure anything. I don't know who does, but I don't. My mama never taught me to measure. It's just like you just look at it and you know. I cook this dish so much that I just know when it's finished. But on average, you can say I put like a 2 to 1 ratio. So for every 2 cups of rice, I put 1 cup of water, or 1.5 cups of water, if that makes sense. And we're going to be stirring that baby up. We're going to be stirring it up. And this happens after you finish stirring it up, you want to put the cover on, and then you leave it for at least a good 10 minutes. When you take the cover off after 10 minutes, this is what your food should look like. It is not cooked yet. You just want to cook off all that water. So you'll see me just trying to incorporate all the flavors back in. I put the lid back on, and now you lower the temperature to low and you steam the rice for maybe like another 20 to 25 minutes. And just like that, your rice should look like this after 20 to 25 minutes. And normally what you do is you're going to go to the corners and you're going to pick up the corners and bring it to the middle. You don't want to start from the middle. I start from the corners because the corners burn. So you want to pick up the corners and bring it to the middle. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you have arroz con gandules and pork chops. I went ahead and I had to prepare dinner for Sunday, so I went ahead and just plated my husband and I dinner. So we're gonna have pork chops. I have some tomatoes on the board. I have some avocado on the board. I went ahead and made some beans. We have beans and rice. I have sweet plantain. And there we have our beautiful bowl that's the sweet plantain. That's some tomatoes, and this is our beautiful bowl of rice that we just made. That's so delicious. You can have this with anything. You can have this with sauce. You can have this with beans and rice. You can have this with pork chops. Anything that you like. It's absolutely delicious, and it doesn't take as long as you think. And this is me giving a taste test. I am so excited at this moment. Oh my God, this is so delicious. I haven't made this meal in a while, and I'm so happy that I made it. Yes, it is so good. I'm so happy that I made it. I'm about to devour. Of course, not this whole plate of food, because I have to save some for my husband. But it is delicious. I absolutely love it. Oh my God. I'm sorry about that drip. You saw that drip down my lip just now? Oh my gosh. Yes, this is so good. You gotta try it. And like always, guys, thank you so much for looking at my video and trying this recipe out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and hope to see you next time, guys. Bye.